welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. If you are enjoying this podcast, please follow it using your favorite podcast software. A reminder, as you're making your travel plans, check out JohnnyDollarAir.com first. JohnnyDollarAir.com is our Priceline affiliate link. So if you go through JohnnyDollarAir.com, part of your purchase price supports the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio at no additional cost to you. So remember, when making your travel plans, check JohnnyDollarAir.com first. A reminder, be sure to listen after today's episode, as we will have a discussion of what our schedule will look like next week when we celebrate the 110th birthday of Bob Bailey. Now, from February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is the Flight 6 Matter episodes 3 through 5.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
This is Don Serrano de Almeida y Pico.
Oh?
We have not met, Senor Dollar.
No, all right. I've been sure to remember the name. Don Serrano. Oh, wait a minute. You're Maria Delago's brother.
That is correct.
I was planning to call on you this morning, Don Serrano.
Well, that will not be necessary, Senor, since I am taking the liberty of calling on you. I am downstairs in your hotel at this moment.
Oh, I see.
I believe I may be able to cast some light on the unfortunate tragedy which overtook my poor sister and the other passengers of that ill-fated airplane.
Do you know something that hasn't come out?
Rather a great deal, Senor. I know the crash which resulted in the deaths of 10 innocent people was the evil work of a diabolical maniac.
Yes, well...
A product of the warped mind of a scheming, worthless, unspeakable dog, a sneaking, money-hungry snake, a scurrilous, unprincipled...
Don Serrano.
Si, Senor.
Come on up.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Mexico City, to the Home Office Guaranteed Transport Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Flight 6 Matter. Expense account continued. Item 5, $3.90, room service. Breakfast for myself and a pot of coffee for my visitor, Don Serrano de Almeida y Pico, I think. He was a thin, straight man with a small goatee and the face of a hawk. Stiff, formal, unbending. A classy grande type from an old school long out of business. And a man of much suppressed violence and hate.
Once upon a time, Senor, there existed a gentleman's code for the settlement of such matters as this. The duello, as it was called. But we are living now in lesser and more decadent times. A man is no longer permitted to kill his enemies. He must suffer interference by the police, the Civil Air Transport Department, the government.
And even special investigators from the States, huh? Is that what you mean?
I was not speaking personally, Senor Dollar. You are as much a victim of the times as I am.
Well, it doesn't seem to be irritating me as much. More coffee, Don Serrano?
Gracias, no. Perhaps it is because you have not lost your dearly beloved sister, Senor.
Oh, maybe. In that, at least, you have my sympathy. But let's get to the point. You've done quite a lot of talking about wanting to kill somebody, but I'm still not too sure who or why or what.
It is very simple, Senor.
Not to me. Suppose we start at the beginning.
As you like. But who can ever say what is the beginning of anything?
All right, then let's be arbitrary about it. Let's start 3 weeks ago when your sister Maria came here from Havana to join her husband, Ramon de Lagos. I believe you said Ramon had been here for a month at that time on some kind of a business deal.
A business deal? Do I look like a fool, Senor?
Oh, now, let's stick to the point.
Women. That is his business, Senor. Women with money.
Then a week ago, Maria wired you, said she was terribly unhappy, and asked you to come at once. And when you got here, she told you what was the matter. She said Ramon was carrying on with an American girl named Marvel Terrence.
A Jezebel, Senor.
So you took over. You got Maria an airline reservation back to Havana on Flight 6, the one that crashed, and told her you'd handle Ramon.
Oh, she was putty in his hands. He lied to her every day since they were married, and she always ended up by believing him. I told her in the beginning he was interested only in her wealth.
Which amounts to how much?
Oh, much. Even after Ramon's foolish dissipation over the last few years.
What happens to her estate now?
Half of it she was permitted to dispose of as she wished. She made a will some time ago in favor of Ramon. Against my advice, I may say.
What about the other half?
Now, that reverts to me, senor.
Oh?
It is a matter of family tradition.
Who managed your sister's estate before Ramon came into the picture?
I did, senor. And quite profitably. I did not waste my energies on illicit follies and ludicrous intrigue.
All right. Night before last, then, you took Maria to the airport and saw her off on the plane.
Si.
What was she planning to do when she got back to Havana? Was she going to divorce Ramon?
My sister was a very pious woman. May she rest in peace. Her religion would never permit such an act.
I see.
And, of course, there was the matter of family tradition.
Oh, naturally. Did Ramon go to the airport with you?
I had not seen Ramon since the night before, nor had Maria. We had quarreled violently over his disgraceful conduct.
Did Ramon know that his wife was taking Flight 6?
I informed him the night before.
Did you or Maria see him at the airport?
Oh, no, senor. He was much too clever. He managed to keep out of sight.
Then how can you be sure he was there?
Senor Dollar, who else would be so vile as to place an explosive on board the plane?
Oh, well, now I can follow your reasoning, but...
The matter is self-evident.
Well, look, I'm afraid we need more than self-evidence, Don Serrano.
The problem of evidence is your responsibility, senor. I have told you who committed the deed.
No, you've told me who you suspect.
Do you doubt my word?
Not as far as it goes. Sure you won't have some more coffee?
No, gracias.
Do you happen to know this girl, Marvel Terrence? By sight, I mean.
She has been pointed out to me.
Mm-hmm. Did you see her at the airport?
Si, I did. I was under the impression she was going to leave on the plane, but after it departed, she was still in the terminal.
Did you notice her talking to anyone before the takeoff?
Yes, to some American, I believe.
Red hair, stocky build, about 35?
Si, he would fit that description.
Blakely. Did you see her talking to anyone else? Any of the baggage handlers or the ground crew?
I'm afraid I did not notice. Is it important?
It could be. Well, thanks for your information, Don Serrano.
My only concern is to see justice done.
I'm sure it will be. And now suppose we take a look at what you didn't tell me.
Senor?
The fact that Maria took out a flight accident policy for $25,000 and named you as her beneficiary.
Well, I considered it a mere whim of my sister's.
But the way things turned out, it was a pretty valuable whim, wasn't it, Don Serrano? For you, I mean.
Senor, are you implying...
I'm implying that Ramon wasn't the only one with a motive. Wasn't the only one who'll profit by Maria's death. You'll do pretty well yourself. Half her estate and $25,000 cash. That's not a bad deal.
I should kill you for such an insult.
You'd like to, wouldn't you? You're very big on this killing business. That's how you planned to handle things with Ramon, wasn't it, as soon as Maria went back to Havana?
It is only what he deserves.
And now you're trying to use me to do it. That's why you came here. You don't care about justice. All you want to do is get Ramon.
He is guilty.
If he is, Don Serrano, I'll find it out and I'll pin it on him. But if he isn't, I'm not going to be pushed into framing him. So you can take these dirty, underhanded insinuations of yours and you can... Get out, Don Serrano. Expense account item 6, $12.60. Taxi fares in and around Mexico City. I checked with the federal police first. They had their best men working on the murder of the baggage handler at the airport. And so far, they'd turned up nothing. They didn't have a single lead. I went through their files on the other 7 people who died on the plane. Nothing. The 2 pilots and the stewardess were Cuban and apparently had no close friends or enemies in Mexico City. 2 of the passengers were Brazilians and were only traveling through en route from the States. And as far as the other 2 were concerned, there seemed to be no motive. So it came right back again to the 3 I was already working on. Maria de Lagos and the 2 business partners, Ed Palmer and Jim Rourke. The 3 people who'd bought flight insurance policies. And that left me with 4 possible suspects. Ramon de Lagos, Maria's husband, Don Serrano, her brother, Marvel Terrence, and Bill Blakely, the partner of Palmer and Rourke. I checked with Inspector Mocklin, but he'd made no progress. With Gino Romero, no progress. I tried to reach Blakely, but he hadn't shown up at his office. I phoned Marvel Terrence and got a reluctant agreement from her to meet me for lunch. I waited for her at the Vendome for an hour. She didn't show up. Finally, at 1 o'clock, I went to her hotel.
Oiga, mozo, traiga el equipaje del cuarto número 85. Ahorita vaya. Ándale, pues. Sí, senor. What can I do for you?
I'd like to see Miss Marvel Terrence. I wonder if you...
Miss Terrence. Que señorita tan bonita, tan hermosa.
Yeah, well, if you'll...
She's the most beautiful woman where I've ever stayed at this hotel.
Yeah, she's pretty gorgeous, all right. Would you mind
Sometimes I think everybody in the world is in love with this señorita. All day long, it is one man after another which call up to talk to Miss Terrence.
Well, would you ring her and tell her I'm waiting...
2 times so many calls we get on the switchboard while the señorita is live here.
That's very interesting. And now would you
You must forgive me, amigo. When I think of Miss Terrence, I lose all sense in my head.
All right. You're forgiven. Now, if you...
What is it you wish, senor?
Will you ring Miss Terrence and tell her I'm waiting down here in the lobby?
Immediately, senor. Your name, please?
Johnny Dollar.
Johnny... D-O-L-D-O... How do you spell it, please?
D-O-L-L-A-R.
L-A-R. Gracias. I will tell her at once that you... Sacre nombre. I had forgot.
Forgot what?
She's not here no more, senor.
What?
She has checked out of hotel at 11 o'clock this morning.
Expense account item 7, $2.10. Lunch at the Monte Casino Hotel, alone. I was sorry she'd skipped. I guess I was secretly hoping Marvel would turn out to be in the clear. But if she were, then why run out? It didn't add up. I paid my check and started to leave the dining room, and at the entrance I ran square into a man I was planning to see later in the day. He didn't seem very happy about it.
Senor Dollar.
How are you, Ramon?
It is a pleasure to see you again, senor. And
I'd
now,
like to talk
if
to you a
excuse
couple of minutes. Come on, let's step into the bar.
But I have a most important engagement, senor.
Oh, this is important, too. I understand you're a friend of Marvel Terrence's.
See, it is my honor and pleasure.
Well, she's checked out of the hotel here. Do you know where she went?
Oh, senor, I do not discuss the private affairs of my friends.
Oh, knock it off, Ramon. This isn't a tea party. 10 people have been murdered by an explosion aboard a plane. One of them was your wife, remember?
I cannot help you. I know nothing of Miss Terrence's plans, and now...
I talked to your brother-in-law this morning, Ramon, Don Serrano. He tells me you're the one who put the explosive on board the
What?
plane.
It is a lie.
He seemed pretty certain of it. He tells me you stand to inherit half of your wife's estate.
Then he is better informed as to the details of the matter than I am. I do not know what happens to the estate, senor.
He seems to think you wanted to get your wife out of the way in order to have a free hand with Miss Terrence.
Don Serrano, as you may have noticed, is a bigoted and jealous old fool who thinks only of money. He knows better than that.
What do you mean?
Maria was different from the women of your country, senor. She understood such matters as my friendship with Miss Terrence.
And accepted them?
Except such times as Don Serrano goaded her into being foolish, yes. It is a difference of the Latin temperament, senor.
I see. Then there was no trouble between you and Maria.
None of importance. The trouble was Don Serrano. He has hated me from the day of our marriage, because from that moment on he no longer had any control over Maria's fortune. If you wish to discuss this further, senor, I will be happy to do so later, but I must leave now. Con su permiso.
I watched him hurry out of the hotel. I had no real reason to stop him and no authority to. On sudden impulse, I crossed the lobby to the public phones, called the Hotel Regis, and asked for Don Serrano de Almeida y Pico. Don Serrano had checked out. No forwarding address. I called the Del Prado and asked for Bill Blakely. Mr. Blakely had checked out. No forwarding address. I left the phone booth and hurried back to the desk. The clerk was very sorry. Ramon de Lagos had checked out earlier in the day. No forwarding address. Johnny Dollar.
Inspector Mucklin's office, Gino Romero.
Oh, Gino. What did you find out? Did you locate any of them? Beneficiaries of the crash of Flight 6?
Si, senor. It was an affair most simple. A matter of making a telephone call to the airport.
Then they've left Mexico City.
Si, senor. The señorita Marvel Terrence has taken the 10 o'clock plane this morning to Acapulco.
Oh?
Senor Blakely has taken the 11:30 plane to Acapulco. Senor Ramon de Lagos has taken the 2 o'clock...
Plane to Acapulco. And what about Don Serrano?
Oh, with him, it's different. At 2:45, he's depart from Mexico City in a special charter plane.
Look, Gino, is there another flight to Acapulco this afternoon?
But, of course, at 4:30. Already I have 2 reservations.
Good. I'll meet you at the airport. What's the flight number? Gino.
I'm scared to think of it. This one is also called Flight 6.
From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Mexico City, to the Home Office, Guaranty Transport Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Flight 6 matter. Expense account continued. Item 9, $63.45. Incidentals in Mexico City and plane fare to Acapulco. One more of the sharp contrasts of Mexico. We left the stiff formality of the city behind us, the cool, thin air of the high plateau, and 50 minutes later, we stepped off the plane and into the steaming heat of the tropics. Barefoot tourists in shorts and barefoot natives in white cotton dungarees. Soft brown skins and flashing teeth. Mangoes, papayas, and the heady scent of tropical flowers. Blue sky, blue Pacific, and a burning sun. And a bay so bright and beautiful it breaks your heart. Acapulco. Gino Romero of the Department of Civil Air Transport knew his way around. So I waited for him while he checked his contacts, airport police, custom agents, limousine drivers. And in a few minutes, he'd made his rounds and rejoined me in front of the terminal.
It is an affair most simple, senor. A merely matter of ask the question and listen to the answer.
What did you find out, Gino?
Senorita Miss Stearns is stay at the Hotel Los Flamingos.
So?
Senor Blakely is also stay there. Ramon de Lagos is go to the Hotel Caleta. And Don Serrano is stay at the Club de Pesca. So you see?
Yeah, I see. All right, Gino, let's get going.
And where we are going is to the...
We'll put up at the Los Flamingos.
That is what I expect. Oh, she's very beautiful, senor.
True, but there are even better reasons for staying there.
¿Qué dice?
Well, in some way, I'm not yet sure how, I think this whole thing centers right around Marble Terrace.
You think it's possible she's guilty of the crash of the Flight 6 to collect the insurance?
Maybe. Or she might have been used. Or maybe... Oh, I don't know, Gino. But it's about time we found out. Expense account, item 10, $1.50. Limousine fare from the airport to the hotel. The Flamingos is built on a point near the far end of the peninsula, set on a headland high above the white smother of surf below. And there, just before dusk, with the western sky a yellow blaze of glory beyond the far rim of the Pacific, I found her. She was sitting on the open terrace by the edge of the cliff. And once again, she was alone.
Sit down, Johnny.
Thanks.
I suppose I should be surprised, but I'm not, really. I guess I rather expected you.
Well, then wasn't it a waste of time to run away from Mexico City?
I've always run away, I guess.
And most of the time, I imagine you've been followed.
Or maybe I wanted to face you here, where it's so beautiful. Where perhaps you'd be able to understand me a little better.
Is that what you want, Marble? To be understood?
Doesn't every woman?
I thought it was more often the man. And usually it's his wife who doesn't understand him, isn't it?
I see this isn't going to be just a social chat.
Oh, I doubt if it could ever be just a social chat. Not with you. Now, you got too much impact for that.
A compliment?
That's a fact.
There's no place else in the world with sunsets like the ones here. Every evening. It's like there's another land way off there in the west. It's a strange, bright, golden land. And it keeps calling, coaxing.
Only in a little while, it'll disappear. And everything will be dark off there in the west.
Maybe you do understand me, Johnny. Maybe that's why I'm half afraid of you. Another reason I ran, maybe. I can be a fool, easy. Sort of hereditary defect, you might say.
Well, that's a common affliction. Rarely fatal.
Rarely doesn't help. Once is enough. You know something? When I die, I want to be buried up there in the middle of a sunset.
It'd be kind of lonely, wouldn't it?
I think I've always been lonely. Do you know I haven't a single living relative in the world? Not one. I was 14 when my parents were killed in an auto accident. I stayed in a boarding school, and the bank handled the estate. When I was 21, they turned it over to me. And since then, I guess that's not what you want to know, though, is it?
Not exactly. Want to tell me about it, Marvel?
No. As a matter of fact, I don't. I don't even want to think about it.
It would be better if you would.
For whom? For me? I doubt it. I feel dirty, Johnny. Telling wouldn't change that.
It might.
Anything I'd tell you would be only suspicion, not fact.
Wouldn't?
Unless, of course, you're expecting a confession.
Do you have one to make?
No.
But you know who caused Flight 6 to blow up and why, don't you?
No. I can make a guess, that's all.
Like to tell me that guess?
You'll find out soon enough, Johnny, and I'd rather it didn't come from me.
11 people have died, Marvel.
I know.
10 on the plane that crashed, and the baggage handler who was murdered later, and
You
whoever...
don't have to remind me of it. I couldn't forget it if I wanted to. I told you how I felt, now drop it, Johnny.
All right.
I didn't know. That's all I can claim. I just didn't know.
What do you mean?
Nothing. Look. It's dark out there now. And sunset's gone.
There's always another one.
I wonder.
Have you ever met Don Serrano, brother-in-law of Ramon de Lagos?
No, but he was pointed out to me.
Did you see him at the airport the night Flight 6 was blown up?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Did you see Ramon?
No.
Did he know you'd canceled your reservation that night?
He didn't even know I had one.
Have Ramon and Bill Blakely ever met?
Yes, they met. And detested each other on sight.
Well, that's understandable in view of the circumstances.
Oh, I guess, but why are people like they are?
Did you arrange for Blakely to follow you here?
I didn't tell anybody I was coming.
He was a good guesser. So was Ramon and Don Serrano.
I know. They're all here. Why? They don't even know me. They don't want to know me. Not in any real way, but they're here.
Oh, yeah, they're here. And I think you ought to tell me what you know, Marvel.
Tomorrow, maybe. Not tonight. Let me have just one night, Johnny.
All right.
Take me to dinner. Dance with me. Laugh with me. Give me just one evening. Will you, Johnny?
Sure. And thank my lucky star for the chance.
You're sweet. I'm saying it now. Without any strings. No matter how things work out. I'll still mean it. You're a sweet guy, Johnny. Give me time to change.
I went to my room and made 2 phone calls while I waited for her. The operator at the Club de Pesca informed me that Don Serrano was not in. The clerk at the Hotel Caleta said the same thing about Ramon de Lagos. I didn't leave my name with either of them. Bill Blakely was staying in room 23, a few doors on down the terrace, so I decided to go have a talk with him before I went out to dinner with Marvel Terrence. But as it happened, I didn't have to go to that much trouble. Yeah, who is it?
Blakely, I'd like to talk to you.
Come on in.
Do you always cover your visitors with a gun?
Only when I spot them listening outside my door.
I don't know
I
what
saw
you're...
your shadow against the shutter there. You've been standing outside for the last 5 minutes, Blakely. You listened to me make a couple of phone calls. Did you learn anything you wanted to know?
Dollar, suppose you were suspected of sabotaging an airliner and killing 10 people. Wouldn't you want to know what kind of a case was being built up against you?
What makes you think you're under suspicion, Blakely?
I know I am. Ed Palmer and Jim Rourke were my partners. When they died on that plane, I became sole owner of the firm. There's the motive. I've got a warehouse full of dynamite in Mexico City. There's the method.
I can go even farther than that.
What do you mean?
You mentioned one motive. Why didn't you mention the other one?
What other one?
Marvel Terrence. That crash not only eliminated a pair of business partners, it wiped out a couple of rivals.
Just one thing wrong with that, Dollar. Marvel had a reservation on that plane herself. She only decided at the last minute not to go. I wouldn't have been gaining much if I'd killed her along with my rivals, as you call them.
Uh-huh. Maybe that's why you cornered her at the airport and argued her out of going.
Yes, I did talk her out of the trip. But not because I'd planted an explosive on board.
How do you feel about her, Blakely?
I'd give my left arm. It wouldn't do any good. I'm just not the guy. I never have been and never will be. Maybe you are. She says she's having dinner with you tonight.
That's right. She is.
How do you feel about her, Dollar?
I don't know. Expense account item 11, $26.40. Taxis, dinner, drinks, and dancing for 2. The Copacabana with its blue lights and the surf right at your feet and a million stars low enough to touch the warm water of the bay lapping softly at the pilings. The Las Americas, the Casablanca, music, champagne, and the tropic night. And then finally, much later.
Good night, Johnny, and thank you. Tonight, for the first time I can remember, I wasn't alone.
And then, only an hour afterward, I was wakened out of a sound sleep.
Senor Dollar.
Right with you, Gino. What was it?
It's a senorita, I think.
She's a number 8. Come on. But she wasn't a number 8. Her door was standing open and the room was empty. We searched the terrace out toward the edge of the cliff where I talked with her at sunset. We saw the broken section of railing and found one of her slippers and a pack of her cigarettes lying nearby. In pitch darkness, we slid and scrambled down the steep path to the beach. And there by the edge of the surf, we found her. The warm foam reached out for her, as though to carry her away, to that last sunset she'd loved so much. She looked very beautiful, but very much alone. As alone and as lonely as death. Johnny Dollar.
Here is your call to Mexico City, senor.
Oh, thanks. Hello?
Macklin, Department of Civil Air Transport.
Hi, Mac.
Dollar, what have you learned in Acapulco?
Not very much, I'm afraid.
But you said you were following the girl down there. Marvel Terrence.
Yeah, and a few others who might have had a hand in the explosion aboard Flight 6. Beneficiaries of the insured on that flight.
What others?
Ramon de Lagos, whose wife died in the crash. Don Serrano, her brother. Bill Blakely, whose business partners were aboard.
Well, have you and Gino learned anything from them? From the girl?
Not yet.
But you said she might know who caused that explosion aboard the plane.
Right, and she promised to talk.
Well?
Your little helper, Gino, and I just pulled her body out of the surf down below the hotel here.
Johnny? Murder?
Yeah. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Acapulco, Mexico. To the Home Office Guaranteed Transport Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Flight 6 matter. Expense account, final page. Item 12, $1.80 for the phone call to Mac Macklin in Mexico City. I had to get Mac out of bed to tell him what had happened. That Marvel Terrence had been murdered. That somebody had silenced the girl around whom the whole case had seemed to center, since Flight 6 had exploded in midair 3 nights before and carried the passengers and crew to their deaths. Mac was shocked and offered any additional help I might need. But he had no new information at his end, and it was obvious now that any answers would have to be found right here in Acapulco. As I hung up the phone, Gino Romero came rushing in from the hotel terrace.
Senor Dollar.
What is it, Gino?
A prowler is out on the hotel grounds. The police cars go to block off the road at the bottom of the slope.
Good, come on.
The stairs are over this way, senor.
Right with you. A little light wouldn't hurt anything down here.
It's no time. This way, into the brush, is a footpath.
All right, lead the way.
Over there is only 100 feet to a cliff. The other side is the road for the hotel. Here is the only place anybody can go. It's down this slope.
Yeah, but there are plenty of places to hide.
Si, senor, but it's a matter... Oh, wait.
Huh?
Listen.
We could hear someone moving through the jungle growth a few yards away, moving swiftly but cautiously. Then a sudden silence. Whoever it was had also stopped and was listening for Gino and me. We waited for the fugitive to move again, straining our ears, trying to tag the location. Seconds passed. Then a slight rustle ahead of us. Gino nudged me, and we slipped quietly toward the sound. Get your hands up. Well.
Buenas noches, Senor Dollar.
You seem to be quite a night owl, Don Serrano.
Not ordinarily, Senor. The circumstances which place me in this rather awkward position are not usual ones, I assure you.
You were up there prowling around the hotel. Why?
I was looking for my unmentionable brother-in-law.
Ramon de Lagos? Why? What made you think he'd be here?
I went to his hotel. He was not in his room. I knew he had not been able to see Miss Terence since she had spent the evening with you. So I assumed he might be waiting for her here, at her hotel. And my assumption has, of course, been proven correct.
Did you see him?
No, but I heard the police discussing the murder of Miss Terence. It was obviously Ramon's handiwork.
Still after him, huh?
My feeling about Ramon is not a secret, senor.
Nor his about you. So why did you go to his hotel?
To kill him. Why else?
Time was running out, so we took Don Serrano back to the hotel to the police. One very important person hadn't put in an appearance. Gino went down to Bill Blakely's room, knocked on the door, then opened it with a passkey and went in. Blakely wasn't there. We searched the room.
The bed has been sleeping, senor.
Yeah, I notice. But for how long, that's the question.
It's possible he was wake up when the senorita screams before she is killed.
He might have been. He must have dressed. His pajamas are there on the floor. I wonder.
Quién sabe if it was a quarrel of lovers, the jealousy. He did not like it when the senorita was go with you tonight.
I don't think it's that simple, Gino. Let's get this bag open, have a look inside. Maybe we can... It's not even locked. He seems to have been traveling light.
There on the top, senor.
Yeah, I see.
What is it?
Box of .38 caliber cartridges spilled open. And that piece of oilcloth. He had a gun packed in here. No, it's gone. He got up, loaded a gun, and left. Took the gun with him. If it was before the scream, that's one thing. But if it was afterward, then...
What are you thinking, senor?
I think we'd better take the police with us, get over to the Hotel Caleta, and check up on our third suspect.
Ramon? But Don Serrano said he is not there.
Don Serrano could say anything. I think we'd better get over there, Gino, and do it fast. The clerk said room 34. That's the second door down.
See.
Let's go. Raman! Raman!
Who is it?
Johnny Dollar, open up. Watch yourself, Gino.
See.
Come on in, Dollar.
You're Blakely.
Yeah. Better hand over the gun, Blakely. You won't get a chance to use it now. The police are out in the lobby.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Ramon didn't show up, huh?
I wish he had. That's all I was asking, just one clear shot at him.
Are you sure he's the one who killed her?
Sure enough.
Did you see him?
No, but he's the one. She was scared of him, Dollar. She told me earlier in the afternoon, before you got down here to Acapulco.
Told you what?
She said Ramon had followed her here from Mexico City, that he'd been acting strange. She said she was glad I was staying at the same hotel, and that she didn't want to see him or talk to him.
Yeah, it figures all right. It checks with what she said to me last night. If she'd only given me a little more to go on.
She was a real great kid, Dollar. The greatest as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized what had happened, I loaded my gun and came here to wait for him. I figured he'd try to get back to his room. But he didn't show. It's too bad. She was a real great kid. And I'd have died for her if she asked me to. I loved her. She was the...
Ahí está. There he is.
Come on, Gino.
Si, senor.
Ramon had been spotted. He started and entered the hotel, saw the police, turned and ran. He was armed with a pistol. He'd fired a shot at one of the police officers and then jumped over the balustrade and disappeared into the dark curve of Caleta Beach. The police cars quickly threw a cordon along the bayfront street and blocked off both ends of the stretch of shoreline. For the moment, Ramon was trapped somewhere on that beach. He'd tipped his hand now, and he was desperate and dangerous, and he had a gun. Gino and I went out on the beach after him.
There's many places to hide here.
Not for long. They'll have some more police here within a few minutes. Come on.
It's maybe better we wait, senor. I do not think Ramon is planned to be taken alive.
I can still see that girl, Gino, lying at the foot of the cliff.
Si, senor. I remember. Espérate.
What is it?
There by the water is... No, I am wrong, senor. It's only a boat pulled up on the sand.
Yeah, it's a paddle boat. Well,
I think it's better maybe we separate, senor. I look in the pavilion, the cabañas. You stay close by the water. In this way, we'll have him between us.
good idea, Gino. But you've got the rough end of it. Take care of yourself.
Si, senor.
Well... Not much cover along the shoreline here. Yes.
Do not move, senor. Do not make a sound.
Well, Roman. So you were hiding behind that boat.
I have nothing to lose now, senor. If you make one move or try to call out, I will kill you.
Yeah, I think you would. All right, then, what comes next?
This boat, you will push it into the water. But be very careful. If you make any noise, even by accident, I will kill you. Quickly now. Hurry.
Relax, Roman. You don't have a chance anyway.
We will see. Careful now. Be quiet. Good. Now get in, quickly.
Sure.
Take the paddle, head out across the bay, and be very quiet, or I will kill you.
All right, Roman. You're just wasting your time. They'll have a police launch out here within 10 minutes.
I do not think so. They will not know. Quiet! Quiet! One more sound from that paddle, and I will shoot.
Marvel Terrence. Why did you kill her, Roman?
She made me crazy. So beautiful. And with so very much money. I thought she would be most easy once Maria, my wife, was dead.
Then it was you who blew up the airliner in order to kill your wife and have a clear field to go after Marvel.
Marvel did not know I was married, and Maria was going to tell her.
So you sabotaged a plane and killed her, along with 10 other innocent people. And what happened tonight? Did Marvel turn you down?
He said she was suspicious of me, and she was going to tell you about it in the morning. And she said she was falling in love with you. She made me crazy.
I wish you had got back into that hotel, Roman. I wish you'd got there before I did, while Bill Blakely was still waiting for you with a loaded gun in his hand.
Be quiet and paddle faster. We must get farther up the coast in order... What is that?
Police launch. What did you think? I told you didn't have a chance.
No, they could not get here so soon.
Well, I forgot to mention the fact that they'd already phoned for one.
And then they do not know yet we are out here. Good. Keep paddling. Quickly.
He half-turned his head to look back toward the launch. I took a chance and swung the paddle. His shot went wild, and he didn't get a second try. I caught him back of the air, and he dropped like a log. The police located our boat a few minutes later and hauled him over the gunwale and into the launch. And that should have been the end of it. But none of us realized Ramon's insane desperation. He'd only been pretending unconsciousness. On board the launch, he snatched a gun from one of the officers and tried to take over the boat. He didn't have a chance. He took a full volley of shots from 3 police pistols square in the chest. Expense account item 13, $312.20. Hotel and incidentals in Acapulco and Mexico City and plane fare back to the States. Expense account total, $608.10. End of expense account, end of report. Remarks? I'll never see another sunset now without thinking of her somewhere out beyond it. I hope she doesn't feel alone anymore. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Remember, there'll be another intriguing story for you beginning next Monday night.
Next week, a dead girl comes to life in a case that's packed with lies. Yet every one of them comes true. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Virginia Gregg, Ben Wright, Edgar Barrier, Don Diamond, Russ Thorson, and Jack Moyles. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Roy Rowan speaking.
Welcome back. Probably one of the least helpful descriptors you can have for a Johnny Dollar serial is that was the one where Virginia Gregg played a character who broke Johnny Dollar's heart. She has so many great performances and characters during this serial era. And the way she played Marvel Terrence in episode 4 was just absolutely compelling. And to me, it changed my opinion of the character, and when she died at the end of the episode, it was a definite gut punch. I've talked about how, for me, in Nightbeat, William Conrad is really given a great chance to show his range, unlike any other series that he performed on. And I wonder if the same is true for Virginia Gregg, particularly in these Johnny Dollar serials. Now, of course, the typical Virginia Gregg character was not as limited as Conrad, who really got cast all the time as cops and heavies. But I think just for variety as well as the depth of some of these performances, Johnny Dollar may be Gregg's best work. Though I should hasten to add she had a lot of strong performances in Dragnet, so I won't 100% say for sure, but you definitely feel that after an episode like episode 4. As for the serial itself, I thought it was really strong and did a good job of keeping the listener engaged. At the same time, I do think that this might have done with a bit of editing, because we did have a lot of going back and forth from, like, we go from one suspect and get sent over to another, and we're just kind of getting passed around to the various suspects. Having Ramon get finished off on the police launch is kind of a sign of that. It's like, well, we don't have time to properly show that scene, so we'll just have Johnny narrate it and use a sound effect. And while I praise Bob Bailey's narration skills, you don't narrate a scene like that. And once he was captured, I'm not certain what the point was. I mean, did Les Crutchfield make a bet? I think I can get away with writing a story that has a body count of 13. And then he got to the last episode. Wait, I'm only up to 12. I gotta do something about that. But again, while not a perfect serial, it was still a good one, and I thought the performance from Virginia Gregg really elevates it. Now it's time to talk about next week's schedule as we celebrate the 110th anniversary of Bob Bailey's birth, which is Tuesday, June the 13th. Now, Sunday we'll play the 4,100th episode special, which will not be part of our Bob Bailey celebration week. Then, Monday through Wednesday, we'll be playing episodes of Let George Do It that are newly circulated to this podcast. Then we'll be playing our regularly expected Johnny Dollar serial on Thursday and Friday. I did initially think about just sticking to our Tuesday-Friday special for yours truly, Johnny Dollar, but I just decided that with us playing other series that starred Bob Bailey, it would just get confusing. So instead, we're going to play the Johnny Dollar serial back to back, and then we will have 2 episodes of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, that are self-contained, starring Bob Bailey, and that are newly circulated to the podcast, and we'll play those on Saturday and Sunday. So we've got a full week of programming, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy this celebration of Bob Bailey next week. Now we turn to listener comments and feedback, and we start with this email from Doc, who writes, Adam, unlike some of your listeners, I really enjoyed the serialized version of the Yours Truly Johnny Dollar programs. The longer format allows the writers to more fully develop the storyline. For those who do not like the delay between episodes 1 and 2 and the final 3, I would suggest that they wait to listen until all 5 episodes are available before listening to any of them. As for the Ricardo Amerigo matter, I have to say that I've not heard my last name used in a derogatory manner so many times in all my many years of life on this earth. My last name is not that common. Unless someone is referring to me, my sons, and their families, I rarely hear it at all. The repeated disparaging remarks concerning Pete Corbin made the episode rather disconcerting. However, like all Johnny Dollar shows, I ended up receiving a great deal of enjoyment as Johnny unravels the plot. As always, I want to thank you for bringing these and so many other wonderful old-time radio programs back to life. Since my retirement from Vanderbilt University in 2011, I've listened to thousands of them. Please never stop what you are doing. Best wishes, Doc Corbin. Well, thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate your kind remarks, and I'm sorry that the name of Corbin got so dragged through the mud in that serial. But I will say that the good name of Corbin was cleared by the end of it. Corbin is a name I don't hear a lot. In fact, the only other Corbin other than yourself and Pete that I could think of was the former leader of the British Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn. However, his name is spelled different than yours and Pate's. Of course, we've had a few villains on the podcast who were named Graham, though I seem to remember more female Grahams as villains and criminals in various productions. It's definitely a little bit odd, though I rarely remark upon it. Although it is an odd thing to hear a character with your name as a villain or as this strong suspect. You know, because if you're not fully paying attention, you might hear a voice say, "How about it, Graham?" How about what? Oh, it's just the radio. Okay. 5-part serial, that would probably be a challenge to be a suspect for that long. All right, well, we turn to YouTube now. Michael writes, "Thank you, Adam, for sharing this with us. I love yours truly, Johnny Dollar." Thanks so much, Michael. And now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day. And I want to thank Joey. Joey's been one of our Patreon supporters since June of 2019, currently supporting the program at the rookie level of $2 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Joey. And that will actually do it for today. If you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. And if you're enjoying this podcast on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and mark the notification bell, as well as leave any comments, just as Michael did. We'll be back next Thursday with the next Johnny Dollar serial, but join us back here tomorrow for Tales of the Texas Rangers, where...
Looks pretty bad, Sheriff.
Yeah, sure is, Jace. That's a fireman they're taking now.
Easy there. Excuse me, Ranger.
Yeah, take it easy. Sure banged up. Doc says they might have to amputate his leg.
Anybody killed?
Engineer Charlie Hanson got pinned under the cab. Most of the passengers are all right, though.
How'd it happen?
I don't know. That's why I called you. Could have been an accident. But I just ain't sure.
You looked at the track yet, where the train jumped off?
I haven't had time until now. I was helping the doc give first aid.
Well, why don't we take a look up there?
Sure. You got a flashlight?
Right here.
How come you got here on horseback, Jace?
Oh, I left my car on the other side of the canyon. Figured it'd be faster cutting cross country.
Yeah, you probably saved 35, 40 minutes that way.
Uh-huh. Oh, watch out, Sheriff. Rail's sticking up there.
Yeah. Boy, what a mess. Tracks torn up all the way around the bend.
Makes it hard to find out what happened.
Yeah, sure does. Maybe it was a loose track.
Yeah, or an axle on the train might have broken.
Yeah, I wish I knew. Fireman's not in any condition to talk, and none of the others have any idea.
Yeah, hold on, Sheriff.
What is it, Jason?
Take a look here.
This railroad tie? What about it?
This tie could have caused the wreck. You see these marks? Here and here?
Oh. All gouged out. Kind of like it's been burned.
It could have been done by the friction of the front wheels of the engine. Marks are the right distance apart.
Yeah. Then this must have been on the tracks, Jace.
Somebody had to put it there.
You think somebody wrecked the train on purpose?
Well, it looks that way, Sheriff.
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, do send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter @Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.